Okay. Only problem is, how do I get this? Oh man. That is not what I wanted. Well, we'll kind of go with this for now, I suppose, because I think we're already here. Sorry about that, guys. Hey guys, I had a bit of technical difficulties in the beginning here, so I'm kind of sorting that out. I restarted the stream, and it seems like everything's okay except for the settings for the stream are not for the Purussaurus. But whatever. I hope we can change that later. Give me 1 second. It's the first time that I had to restart the stream. So I don't think it's likely that that'll happen again, as long as I check that everything's running properly before I start, which I need to get in the habit of. Let me just edit this description and stuff first. And then we'll get started on the sculpting. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's get going. No need to keep delaying. There's my reference. Open it up really quick. Okay. So there you go. That is what I wanted. I wanted my tablet to actually work. And we're just gonna get going back on these scales, try and wrap up this forearm. Then we'll see what else we can move on to today. Regalia, say what's up. A nice man, good to see you back. Thanks for following me back onto this stream. I know it was kind of weird. Blue Spy, good looking for him. Thank you. It's not quite done, but we'll get it there. Yeah, it's Wacom Intuos medium-sized tablet. I don't know what number they're on now. I don't know if they even number their series anymore. Because I used to have, like for the longest time, I used to have an Intuos 4. And I used that for like, I don't know, almost 10 years. And that guy finally, like, I mean, it still worked, but I think they stopped supporting the drivers for it, and the charge, like the USB cable cord thing, got a little bit damaged, so I had to replace it. So I upgraded to one of the newer models of the Intuos. It's outdated by now. I mean, I looked at their website and they already have a new model out. But yeah, it's an Intuos medium tablet. I have a Cintiq as well that I don't really use. Yeah, I've always had good experiences with the Wacom products, you know, like they've lasted me a long time. Like I have an older Intuos, not Intuos, Cintiq, and I've had that Cintiq for like 10 years, more than 10 years, and it still works perfectly fine. I actually I got a newer Cintiq, which is what I'm looking at right here, but my wife is using my older Cintiq. Yeah, and if it wasn't for like them stopping the driver support on those older Intuos models, I think I would probably still be using that. They last a really long time. Do I use my mouse still? Like, you know, like this kind of mouse? For modeling? For sculpting? No. It would be my pen. I use the mouse for like if I'm doing work in Blender, stuff like that, like more box modeling stuff, or like retopology and stuff like that. I'll use my mouse, but not for sculpting stuff like this. When I move around the model, no, I'm using my pen to move around the model like this, the orbit. That's why I wanted to switch. That's why I wanted to restart the program and stuff, because it's really easy to zoom in and out and pan with the pen. And I've gotten really used to doing that. It's really efficient for me. So if I have to like use the mouse or like come over here and use these like tools on the sidebar, it feels very clunky. And it's really hard for me to like, it just feels weird. So that's why I wanted to restart everything. Do you, do you use a tablet or anything like that? Yeah, the pen has buttons on it. It's got two the pen tip counts as technically counts as a button, and then there's an eraser up here. And you can map those to a bunch of functions. There's a software that comes with all of this stuff, and you can map those buttons to whatever you want, really. I never really mess around with them too much. Just because, I don't know, I think they work fine as default. But you can customize them. I'm trying to connect the like flow of the scales from the front to back right now. And it's a little bit difficult because they don't necessarily, like the trackways that I've set up for myself don't necessarily match up one-to-one. They don't match up one-to-one on like the real reference anyway, but trying to get a little bit of a flow. Aaron Beckett, welcome. Hello. A couple new people today, right? The Blue Spy, I don't think I've seen you here before, and Aaron. So, welcome guys, welcome. Second time. Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm kind of noticing on this one of the references that I have that there's like a mane down the front of the forearm. At least on this reference, I don't know if it's a crocodile or what it is because it's just the arms, but they're like there's big scales like going down the front here. There's like a row of bigger scales. And then, yeah, it goes down like down to the thumb. This. And then the flow of the scales kind of resets on the side, on the left side of that row. It kind of resets, and it has a different look. Well, not look, it's got a different directionality to it after that. It's like these big scales are like a barrier between, front and back. So I think I'm going to need to incorporate that. I didn't notice that before. A nice man. I'm an OG viewer. I think in a few months maybe. Yeah, I've definitely seen you here. I remember your name. Yeah, I'm starting to like remember people that are more frequently here at the streams, which is nice. It's nice to see, familiar faces, right? So thank you guys for sticking around. I don't know if there's like, because on Twitch and stuff like that, don't they have like kind of like rewards or stuff like that for people who like are on the stream or like visit the stream more often or something like that? I don't know how it works. I don't know if YouTube does the same sort of thing. It'd be kind of cool if you got like a little achievement or something, if they kind of gamified it a little bit. So what I'm noticing with these scales is that they kind of spiral downward like this, down towards the palm, and then they radiate like down towards the outside of the arm like that. So I had the flow wrong. I was going completely horizontal, and it was not. That's not the case. So I'm just gonna reset stuff. Is there an advantage to a digital tablet against yours? A digital tablet. Like, what do you mean? Like one with a screen? Like built into it? Yeah, I mean, I have one of those. Like I said, it's right here to my right. And I have an iPad and stuff like that I draw on sometimes, and you can do ZBrush on that and stuff too. It depends on like one of the things I've noticed when I've been like teaching people how to do digital artwork is there's a bit of a disconnect for them because they're used to drawing on paper or like, you know, mostly drawing and painting on canvas and paper. So there's a one-to-one connection between what you're doing and the mark you're making on the page, right? And the biggest hurdle for some people is, especially when they transition over to digital, is that, you know, if you're using a tablet, your hand is down here, but you're paying attention to the screen here. So all your marks are happening here while you're moving your hand down here. So there's a bit of it's not like a one-to-one thing. Or at least it doesn't feel that way in the beginning. So for people who are used to like more traditional media and they need that one-to-one connection, a tablet or like something with the screen on it is much better because they can directly see their marks being made as they move their pen on the surface. It's more like a traditional sort of thing. More like drawing on paper or painting on a canvas sort of thing. For me, there's not really a difference. I've been used to doing both. So I can transition from one to another like pretty seamlessly. So I don't really have a preference. The reason why I use a tablet instead of my Cintiq here is mostly due to like ergonomics. Because when I'm using my tablet, I can look directly at the screen. And my neck isn't like cranked down, because no matter how I orient my Cintiq, I'm always going to be looking slightly down and drawing, and over time that really hurts my neck. So that's the main reason why I don't use it very often. I wish these Cintiqs are expensive. I don't recommend you getting one unless you're like a full-time artist and you're really spending a lot of time in front of your computer drawing and painting. They're very expensive pieces of equipment. So I'm definitely not using it as much as I probably should be to justify the cost of it. But, you know, I'm not gonna break my neck just to use my Cintiq. I'm thinking about kind of reorienting my office or like my desk space to try and utilize it more. Because I would like to use it. I mean, I have it. They're very nice. You know, they have the pressure sensitivity on the Cintiq surface is much more sensitive than a tablet is. So I would like to use it if I can, but yeah, I gotta figure out a better position for it because it's kind of awkward. Good morning, Andrea. Oh, my little dog's doing good, or doing well, I should say. Yeah, she's doing pretty well. She's much more perky and seems more happy. I think her teeth were probably hurting, you know. So I'm glad that we were able to get them out, and hopefully she can feel a bit better about her mouth now. Yeah, she's doing really well. Thanks for asking. Still on a medication. She's about to finish the medication though. Over the weekend she'll finish that. And then she just has to eat soft food for the next week or so, which isn't a problem for her because she loves it. And yeah, it's honestly, I thought it was so. Our other two dogs, our other two little dogs, they're very food motivated. Like they'll eat anything, which is also a bad thing, but it's a good thing when you're trying to give them like medication, because all you have to do is like, you know, give them a little bit of a peanut butter, or honestly, you don't really have to do anything. You just put the medication on their food and they'll eat it. So they're very easy to like deal with when they need medication. Our other little dog, the one that had the dental surgery, she's very picky, very, very, very picky. She eats very slow. She like picks through her food. She's very, very, very picky. So I was kind of worried that we were gonna have trouble giving her medication, because I knew for sure that she wasn't gonna like it. Which she didn't. She doesn't like it. But the type of soft food that we're giving her, she really likes the taste of it. So we're able to kind of disguise the medication in there pretty well. So she's been doing okay. Let's see. Is it possible to do a 3D painting with the mouse? Yes. I think so. It's kind of strange, because zebra. So I don't know the like in technicalities of it, right? So I'm not the best person to like describe this, but ZBrush technically isn't a 3D program. Technically, it's a 2.5D program. So I think initially ZBrush started out as some sort of like weird illustration thing. I'm not sure. If anybody in the chat knows, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But you can do like weird like 2D, 3D. Like you can paint in ZBrush. I don't know why you would, because it just seems like you'd be making your life harder. But you can paint in ZBrush, and you can actually like extrude, like almost like emboss stuff, or like what do they call it? Not emboss. It's like relief sculpture, you know, pulling it out into space. You can do that sort of stuff in here. It would just be kind of a, I don't know. For me, it would be a little jarring, you know. But you could do it. That is a possibility. Blue Spy. Curious, I've heard that the next playable in the works is the Orano, but here we have the Peru. Does that mean the Orano is already modeled, or that now it's now in the work? The Orano is, I'll show you guys. The Orano is, where is it? You guys get to see my messy file structure. The Orano is right here. So I'm working on the Orano. It's just going to come after the Peru. Or actually, it's going to come after the Eocarcharia. Because there's a few things that, like wrapping up things that we need to do on the Eocarcharia. Mostly just like, we have to do the female version and the baby version of the Eo. After that's done, which we're trying to get finished this month. After that's done, then the Orano is going to be worked on. So it's almost there. It's just, it needs, you know, details. It needs scales. It needs all that stuff. So there's the Orano is right there. I'll be doing that soon. But this, the Purussaurus is mostly just like, this is the stream animal, you know. So we're gonna use this guy as like the stream guy, and then once we finish him, we'll move on to something new. Whatever. See where the forearm meets the bicep. Would it be plausible to make the scales in that area be a bit half squarish? These, like this area here. They could be. I'm kind of trying to work through that area because they should be. It's an area that gets a lot of flexibility. Like you can see this right here. This area. So they do get kind of smaller, but they're kind of irregular on the inside. So it's kind of, they get smaller, but they don't get as small as I think you would maybe expect them to go. I don't have that many views of the inside. So I'm using those primarily. So theoretically, yeah, they kind of do that. They kind of get smaller and more like half squarish, I guess. They're not exactly square. They're like weird little trapezoidal shapes. Sorian. Hello. Gonna do some drawing myself. Sweet. Yeah, that would be cool. If you are willing to share, it'd be cool if you maybe you can post what you drew during the stream in the Discord or something. If there's an area for you to do that, that'd be cool. I definitely, yeah, if you guys are artists as well, if you want to draw along or get some work done while I'm streaming, that would be perfectly fine, you know. It's nice to try and be productive. It's easier to be, I think it's easier to be productive, or like, it helps when you have people to work with, you know. It can be motivating. It's kind of like I kind of compare it to when I was in college, my friends and I used to go for runs and go to the gym and stuff together. And it was actually really easy to keep on top of like that sort of schedule, like sort of like fitness, health and fitness like stuff when there's other people to do it with. And I think it's kind of the same when it comes to like, especially like personal work. Having like a small group of people to kind of bounce ideas off of and like kind of hold you accountable for like getting stuff done. You know, it's I think it's a lot funner. Where is my paintbrush? Here we are. Watching Jake watching this while modeling Sue. Oh, cool. You're modeling a Sue. That would be great to see too. I have not modeled I mean, I've used Sue's skull as as reference. I've actually been able to see Sue. I saw Sue once. At the Field Museum, which was really cool. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done a T-Rex. T-Rex is hard, I think, to sculpt because there's so many like preconceived notions about it. There's so many so many different renditions of it. It's hard to make them look I guess fresh. A blue spy, that's a good looking Tyrannosaurus, thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to get that guy finished up. Andrea, thanks. Yeah, I think they love her at the vet. She's very like, she's not in here. I would let you guys see her if she was, but she's very cute. And she's super. One thing about like Chihuahuas tend to have more like kind of like a wiry kind of coat. Like they're not like super wiry like a terrier or something, but their fur can be a little bit more wiry. But her fur is like super soft. Like it's one of the things that I remember about like the first time we got to hold her is just the way her fur feels. She's very soft. That's what the majority of people say when they get to hold her and pet her. And she's very calm and, you know, cuddly. She's a little on the chubbier side, so she's very cuddly little dog. So the veterinarians at the vet hospital really love her whenever she comes in to get a checkup and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, Jake. If you can take, yeah, I'd highly recommend. Well, I actually don't know if Sue is still at the field museum. At least her skeleton. I thought they moved her, and then they might have. I think there's like a new. Or maybe they just moved her to a different part of the building. I'm not sure. You probably know more about it than I do at this point. Because it's been a while since I looked into Sue and where she is and all that stuff. If you get a chance to see the skeleton, I definitely recommend it because she's very cool. What are the white dots near the scales? Are those the model or just pixelation? The white dots near the scales. I'm not sure if I know. Like, are you talking about these little things here? Like the edges? Because that, I guess technically that would be pixelation. It's just the mesh. It's the mesh is like starting to I guess kind of crumple in those areas. The mesh is having trouble grasping the detail there. So it's starting to reveal the like polygons in the mesh itself. So that's just an indication that my mesh is too low res for the detail level that I'm putting in. So I'll either have to like remesh it or subdivide it to get more information in there. It's just to do with the mesh itself, you know. But right now we're just kind of like blocking in details. So I don't need the maximum amount of resolution. I just need to be able to see more or less where I'm going with it. And then once we have everything kind of placed properly, I can go in and like really detail everything out with a nice high res mesh. But for now, this is kind of the resolution that is working. Yeah, whatever that's exactly what it is. because you can see all of these little squares. So when you're working on a 3D mesh, see the flow of the squares, how they're going like this. That's kind of the best way to add detail to it, is to flow with the geometry. When you try to go across the geometry like this, it starts to facet stuff because there's actually no there aren't like edges for it to grab onto very well. So like if I where is it? I bake the layers and I subdivide, they'll start to smooth out. They're still kind of there, but they're definitely smoother than that, right? So you have to up the resolution higher and higher to get more detail out of it. That's just kind of like the downside, I guess, of some of these meshes. There's like so much detail on them that you have to crank up the resolution of your model way high, and sometimes that's where you're going to get into issues with like whether your computer can even handle that or not. Fortunately, I should be fine, as long as it doesn't get like ridiculously high. I mean, but I've had like, oh man, if I showed you guys like one of my models for like Beasts of the Mesozoic, there's the action figure line that I work on with Creative Beast Studio. The polygon count on all of those meshes is ridiculous. Like I did a dragon for them not too long ago. I think that dragon holds the record for like the highest number of polygons, because it's broken up into like, I don't know how, I can't even remember how many pieces there are, because it's an action figure, so it all the pieces need to be articulated and fit together, and each of those pieces is like millions of polygons each. So it can get pretty ridiculous. I don't think we're not going to get to that level, with this guy, because there's no need. But we should be fine overall. We'll get rid of that faceting and even, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see that even if there is some left over. Once everything's said and done, the resolution of the in-game texture maps isn't going to be able to pick up that sort of faceting, because it's going to be like a 2K textures on the model. For Unreal Engine. Andrea, so you literally have a cute chubby plushie. Yeah, that's pretty much what she is. Yeah, that's exactly the description of the three of them. Will I make the texture for it too? Yeah, this guy I will. Well, it depends. So I'll be doing the texture work. Like I'll be painting the skins and stuff on it. I don't know if I'll exactly be doing like the skin concept, because we have a lot of we have multiple concept artists that work on skins specifically, and they're pretty dialed into what what's necessary for the game. There's a specific sort of way that the skins need to be like formatted, or I guess formatted would be the best word. There's a specific way that the skins have to be built out, because of the way the game handles the colorization system. And they've just been able to deal with that. They're more familiar with it than I am. So instead of like trying to handle everything and like do everything myself, it's probably better that I just trust my team, my teammates to help me out with that stuff. Blue Spy, you worked on the Arctic Dragon for Beasts of the Mesozoic. Yeah, that was one of my sculpts. You have the Chasmosaurus and the Medusa. Yeah, so I sculpted the Chasmosaurus head, so that's my head sculpt. And then for the Medusa, I sculpted the skull for that. And then David added the like clay on top of the skull, so he like reconstructed it from the bones and the face. And I think I did the box art for the Medusa, if I'm not mistaken. I think I did a lot of the box art for the Ceratopsian series. But yeah, if you wanted to see more like behind the scenes sort of stuff for the Arctic Dragon, I have it on my ArtStation and Instagram and stuff like that. The Arctic Dragon was a ton of scales. Lots of different types of scales on that guy. Scales and feathers, feathers are much harder to sculpt than scales, I think. So that was a pretty big challenge. whatever, the game still needs to calculate all of those details. So I doubt you will be able to have hundreds of players that play with models that have tens of millions of polygons, right? Yeah, no. The game resolution model is much lower. Like the game resolution model is maybe like 20 to 30,000 polygons. That's what the EO Carcaria ended up being, like 20 to 30,000. Yeah, there's no way to have like millions of polygons move around and animate in the game, and then also have like, you know, 100 people in the server doing that too. That's not practical. So the like basically what I'm doing here, right, is like I'm detailing the model as much as I can, and all of this detail is going to get baked down into textures, and that those textures will be applied to a lower resolution model. So it's kind of trickery. Like you're kind of like wrapping a low resolution thing with high resolution like maps to make it seem like it's higher resolution than it actually is. So it's kind of fooling the eye a little bit. So that's kind of the process. I kind of like to joke a little bit, like all of the fancy, like, if you think about it, all of the 3D models that we play as in games are they're kind of really fancy, like paper dolls. Because they're just like they're like a low resolution wire mesh that just has like high resolution images wrapped around them. That's really all they are. That's a great, you know, that's a great simplification of them, but essentially that's what it is. That, you know, obviously there's a lot that goes into making those paper dolls, but this is bothering me right here. I think I need to divide these scales into smaller ones because they just look too big. Andrea, very random question, but do you have any news about the JP Raptor figures? Did they arrive safely after such a long storage vacation? Yeah, they did. I actually got them not last week, but the week before. So it was kind of funny. Like I was complaining about that. If you remember that stream, I was complaining about how long I was waiting, and then like a week or two later, I got them in the mail. But yeah, I received them. They're pretty cool. I do like them a lot. Like the articulation is really nice. The sculpt is really nice. The paint applications are really nice. The only well, I wish there were certain areas of the model that I wish were a little bit more articulated, like the wrist joints, or like the wrists can go, they have hinges, they can go up and down, but there's no rotation, and there's also no rotation in the wrist here, because I kind of wish that I could rotate the arm so that way they could face like this and down like this. I can't remember. The rest of it felt pretty good. And then the other thing that I didn't like is the stands so they don't stand up on their own. They don't balance on their own, which is fine. Like, you know, I don't. It's very hard for these like other like more screen accurate models to like stand on their own, especially the bipedal dinosaurs, because their feet are so tiny, and like I really don't like the way, like, even the Hammond collection from Mattel, they tend to enlarge their feet a lot so they can balance better, but I really don't like the way that looks, which is why I haven't bought any of the Amber collection stuff. But the stands, man, they sent little stands with the raptors, and oh man, they're like the most useless little stands that I've ever seen in a figure. They're like these little acrylic posts with like a little cradle on them. And there's like the posts insert into a little disc at the bottom, but there's like no friction, so the posts don't like insert and stay in the base. You can literally just like pull it out without any like effort, so it's constantly falling apart. There's no like variability in the height of the post, so like it would have been cool if they would have included multiple heights to the posts, maybe like a lower, a shorter one and tall one. That way you can get different poses heights in the way that the figure, like you can do maybe lunging poses using the shorter one, and maybe the big taller poses with the longer one. But they only included one size, so if you want to use the post to stabilize the figure, you're pretty much restricted to having how in Jurassic Park the raptors like stand upright to like vocalize, especially like in the kitchen scene. You're pretty much restricted to a pose like that, because you can't lower their torso down, because if you lower the torso down, the post doesn't support them anymore. If that makes sense. So yeah, I don't like the stands, basically. But other than that, they're very nice figures. And that is my figure review for those Jurassic Park raptors from Nanmu. Sounds almost like those figures weren't worth the wait. Not a year's worth of a wait. I don't think so. Not a year. They are, like I said, they are very nicely sculpted. They are, of all of the like Jurassic Park raptor figures that I've seen on the market, I think they are probably the best ones in my opinion. And you can always buy like I'm complaining about the stands and stuff, but you can buy stands separately. I don't think you should have to. I think the figures manufacturers should have enough foresight to understand that people want like actual functioning stands for their figures, but you know, you could buy a separate stand pretty easily online if that's something that bothered you, which I might do. I just don't. I kind of don't. I'm a little bit mystified a lot of the times by these toy companies that have great looking figures. Like they have amazingly high detailed sculpted figures, and like they're very well, very nicely articulated. All that stuff. But then when it comes to the stands, which should be like a fairly simple, like kind of straightforward thing, they kind of just either don't think about it, or it's like they just don't work very well. I'm like, how? I don't really understand. How hard is it? That's one of my pet peeves, if you can't tell, for a lot of the figures that I collect. What game studio would you like to work for? That's a good question. Like my dream game studio or something? I don't know. My goals have kind of changed since I started out as a concept artist and a illustrator. Like I used to want to work on like very big games, like I don't know. I used to want to work on like big AAA studio stuff, But the more and more that I see of that industry, like, and the more and more I hear from friends who have worked in those spaces, the more and more I don't know if I want to do that, Because it's a lot of pressure. You're kind of restricted into like one role, because their teams are so huge. Like there's thousands of people working on those games. So I don't know if I would want to work on a big game anymore. Because I like wearing multiple hats, I like being able to follow the concept, model, textures. In a bigger game studio, you don't really get to do that. I guess it would depend, but generally I think you don't get to do that. I think you're more like assembly line type place, So I don't know. I have to think about that more. I think more or less though, it's like more indie stuff, or like what they're starting to call like double A games is where I'm kind of more interested in working. Because it's more like they tend to have more creative projects. They're a little bit more bold in what they're trying to do. Because AAA games there's a lot of money involved. They're very scared to try new ideas. So they kind of just they stick to their franchises that they've established, and they just make remakes, remasters, sequels. It's kind of a big problem in the games industry now, I think. I think people are starting to get bored of that stuff. Or I think the indie, like the AA and the indie space, they're much more creative. They're much more artistic. The downside is, of course, they don't have the funding, not as much funding as the AAA games do. So it's a little bit harder to get that going, you know. The Blue Spy, create a problem, sell a solution. Sounds typical. Oh, you're talking about the figures? Dasher, hey, what's your thoughts on 3D artist industry now that AI is coming up pretty strong? Are you worried? I'm more worried as an illustrator than I am as a 3D modeler. But ultimately, I don't know if AI is. It's so hard. It's so hard to like tell. I would like to think that there will always be room for the human touch in art and design. I think it might become even more competitive than it used to be. So now that AI is like starting to appear, I think it's going to make things even more tight. Like you're going to be vying for smaller spaces, so your skill level is going to have to be much higher. That could be a possibility. But I think I don't know. One of the things that AI can't do is I don't think AI is very good at like coming up with innovative ideas. Like it can't think like a person does. And who's to say if in the future AI couldn't think like a person, you know, on that level as a person, which if that happens, there's other stuff to be worried about than art, you know, like if an AI can think like a human being, then art is, I think, one of the least of your worries. Because there's so many other like knock-on effects that could happen because of that. But one thing that I think AI is so AI currently, I think, can only sample what it's able to view on the internet, right? We'll just call it the net. So it's sampling everything that's on here. So it's able to scrape like concept art, it's able to scrape other images, but ultimately like it's kind of feeding off of like pre-established ideas. So like if you type in when AI was first getting started, you remember when it was, I can't remember what the heck the name of the AI thing was. You would type in like a little prompt and it would give you like the 4 squares and it would have like an image in the 4 squares. It was before all of the like the newer stuff with like Midjourney, and there's the other big one, Stable Diffusion. It was like before those two came out. My friend and I were screwing around with it. This was before like we realized that it was like ripping people off and stuff. And we stopped playing with it. But basically like me and my friend were trying to figure out like what it could, like how different it could make things. So we put in the same prompts. So I put in the prompt on my end, he put in the prompt on his end, and we wanted to see like, does it try to innovate? Does it try to like extrapolate on stuff? Or does it just give you the same sort of thing? And we tried it out, and it just kind of spits out the same sort of, it definitely does variations on things, but it spits out very similar looking things. Because it's just sampling all of this stuff. So if you wanted to do like, if you wanted to type in like, I don't know, fantasy warrior character, even if you try to be specific, I feel like it's just going to spit out the same looking guy over and over again. It doesn't really know how to innovate and like combine things, because a lot of what design is like taking one thing from one genre, taking another thing from another genre, smashing it together and seeing what you get. It's like remixing things. When you remix things, you can end up with something fresh. I don't think it knows how to do that. At least not yet. I don't know if it ever will. The other thing is, I mean, if you're talking about more niche spaces, like what I'm doing right now, like dinosaur reconstruction and stuff like that, I don't think it really understands dinosaur anatomy and stuff like that. Like if theoretically, like if I were to, there are AI that can do like base meshes, I think. If I went to one of those AI and I typed in like crocodile, it would maybe spit out something fairly like reminiscent of what I'm doing, but I would still have to go in and do a lot of manual work to fix it. Like a lot of manual work to fix it. And at that point, it's like, is it really worth it? Like if I have to go in and I have to manually fix like the majority, like 80 to 90% of the mesh to get what I want, then why not just do it from scratch and get what you want right away? Because ultimately, I think it would probably be just as fast, if not faster, to do it that way. Yeah. So I don't know. I've given it some thought. I don't have like clear, concise, thoughts about the whole thing. Ultimately, I think that game companies, studios, movie studios still need us to innovate and like push things forward. I think you can only get so far with AI at this point. So I'm not super worried right now. And one of the things that I thought of, if you want to like follow my logic just a little bit. So think about in the beginning when it's not the exact same scenario, I realize, but think about like photography, right? There used to be photography, especially in the very beginning, when that equipment, when it was all basically brand new, photography equipment like cameras, photography. How can I spell today? Cameras were very exclusive. They were expensive. Only certain people could call themselves photographers. I can't spell photography for my life, but only certain people could call themselves photographers. There was also a whole issue when photography first came out between painters and photographers, because painters thought that this was going to be the end of painting, which in terms of portraiture maybe, but that's a different story. But think about like how exclusive this used to be before, right? You used to have to know your camera. You used to have to, like, for being a photographer was a very kind of niche thing. But think about today, right? Everyone has a camera in their pocket. Everyone has a camera phone. Does that mean that we no longer need photographers? I would say no, because think about what people use their camera phones to do. Like, the vast majority of people, what are they using their camera phones for? I don't even know. Memes, TikTok, just like random photos of their cats, stuff like that, Not to say it's not creative, but it's very, I would say that just because you have a camera phone in your pocket doesn't make you a photographer, right? This is definitely still a skill set. It's very specific. It's still valuable. People still need photographers. You wouldn't, like, if you were getting married, you wouldn't just hire your cousin and have them use their camera phone to photograph your wedding, right? Like, you would hire a photographer to do that because they know how to properly do it. So I think that's kind of what it's going to be. I think it's already started to do that. Like, there's, everyone gets access to AI. But what percentage of those people are going to use it to actually pursue and do creative things? Because it's not just about making. It's not just about making, typing in a prompt and then getting a result. It's also the drive to be creative and keep creating. Because AI is very like instant gratification. And this stuff, like creating whole worlds, creating like stories, creating a creature with logic and anatomy and like a history of evolution and all this stuff. I think the majority of people don't really have that, I guess, level of like pursuit for it, or like drive for it. I think a lot of it is just going to be like meme stuff. It's just going to be used for like, yeah, just like, I don't know, weird. I've already seen a lot of that stuff on popping up on like Instagram and stuff, where they just use it to create like weird, like dream-like scenes. I don't know if you'll be able to do like a story with AI. Yeah, I don't know. That was my AI rant. I don't know what much more to say about it. I don't know if you guys agree about it either. There's some people that try to. I think I try to be like on the. I don't try to discount AI. I think it's good to be cautious. I'm not just going to be like, I'm going to watch AI. I want to see what it's doing. I want to see like where things are headed, because like I'm not just going to completely discount it as like a thing, because I want to be, you know, I want to be an artist and I want to be needed. You know, I'm going to like keep an eye on it and see where it all goes, and if I need to adapt somehow, I want to be able to do that. I don't know what that adaptation would look like. I really don't want to use AI. That would suck. I mean, but then I think you can probably make an argument for people that like maybe we're already using it and we didn't really even know it. Because like, I don't know, is Z-Remesher AI? Or is that just like an algorithm that helps you like figure out topology? You know, I don't know where the border is. Very complicated question. I don't have all the answers. I hope people see the value in like the human creativity and touch, and that there will be a place for people like us in the future. Yeah, I just gotta keep an eye on it and try to adapt the best that I can. Sorry for my rant. Whatever, say Rockstar, RDR3, GTA 6, or maybe even more smaller game. I think you said you like Space Marine 2. I did like Space Marine 2. That was really cool. Andrea, speaking about games, how was the latest Elden Ring and Final Fantasy sessions you said you were looking forward to a while ago? Oh man, I have not gotten around to Elden Ring or Final Fantasy 16 yet. I still have those on my list. And, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get around to those, because I'm definitely going to play Monster Hunter Wilds. And that will be... I'm kind of afraid for that game to come out, because when Monster Hunter World came out, my whole... like, that game was, like, very addictive. Very, very addictive. Which I love that game. I love Monster Hunter, so I'm looking forward to it a lot. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to play Elden Ring or Final Fantasy anytime soon. Dasher, yeah, I agree. It doesn't have the art, creativity, and innovation. Yeah. And, they need to get the legalities of it under control. Like, you can't go around ripping off people's art online. That's ridiculous. Like, if AI was able to, like, people are going to need to work for it, like, if you want your AI to be able to synthesize and generate images based on image inputs, then I think you should have to create those image inputs, or like sample them from open source, places, areas online. You should not be able to just go in and rip off a bunch of artists and let the AI go loose everywhere. It's not that's not ethical. So they need to get that under control as well. It seems like that's like super slow moving though. And I really don't understand why AI is like targeting art and design at all, really. Because like I said, I think I mentioned this before in another stream. It's like, explain, like, I would like to ask maybe like one of these AI guys, like, explain to me, because AI to me is like something that should be used to solve problems and like save people time. But, you know, explain to me what the problem with art and design is. Like, where's the problem that we need to solve there? It's creativity. It's an outlet for people. It's like, you know, it's... I don't see the problem. The only problem I see, or that maybe someone would see, is that it's expensive to hire artists to make things. So they may see a problem, quote unquote, there. But like I said, I don't need an AI to draw things for me. I need an AI to like balance my checkbook. I need an AI to plan a vacation. I need an AI to make my grocery list and find the best deals at all the supermarkets around town. You know, I don't need AI to draw things. Jake, did you use an alpha before adding detail to each individual scale, or did you draw out the scale pattern from nothing? You have a hard time getting the detail I want in the scaling. I draw, for these scales, I drew out each individual scale. You could use a alpha for some types of scales, like if the scale is pretty repetitive, meaning like it's mostly the same form like over and over again, then I think you could probably get away with using a scale alpha. But the problem with the crocodile scales is that they're very individualistic looking, and they're very big. So I wouldn't be able to use an AI. An AI. I have AI on the brain. I wouldn't be able to use an alpha very effectively on this because it would be too easily recognizable. Like the repeated pattern would be too easily recognizable. Part of a good alpha is just making it kind of disguising the repetitiveness of it. So that's the reason why I'm doing it by hand mostly. I've sculpted crocodilians before, and you know, that's just kind of the conclusion that I've come to in the approach to those scales. Not to say that somebody else couldn't find a better approach or use like alphas effectively on a crocodile. Like this is what I've done before. But in working on this, I just think it looks better. Doing it by hand just looks nicer. It feels more organic. It feels more, there's a lot of variety. And variety is kind of what you're looking for to make things feel natural. Otherwise it can feel very like, computer generated, like, kind of, what's the word? Mechanical. So yeah, I'm just doing it by hand. There will be parts where I'll do so it's the underside of the hand I'm going to do with an alpha, because if you look at the underside of the hand here, see how it's See how it's lots of tiny little scales, and they're mostly the same shape. They're kind of hexagonal. That's the kind of scale texture that is good to use alphas on, because it's hard to tell the repetition. Once you get to like more established scales like this, it becomes harder to use alphas on there. So that is what I'm doing right now. Avi, good to see you. Working on the Puru, yeah. Your favorite dino. Will the game have even more playables after release? Will you make those ones too? I'm not sure what they have planned after release. So far all I'm looking at that's on my plate right now is the Puru, the Eocarcharia, and the Ouranosaurus. That's all I have scheduled right now. So we'll see, I think, right? I think I need to do these differently, because on my reference they're more like excuse me, they're more like plates, they're not like little dots. So I think I got caught up in my AI rant and I wasn't paying attention to the structure of the scales. I went into like autopilot mode. I need to make these more square. Is the game going to be on consoles too, Jose? I'm not sure. I don't know about those plans. I wouldn't be the one to you know, to ask about that. So an alpha might work for Sue's feet then. Yeah, for dinosaurs it's different because their scales are much more uniform over their body. And they're smaller. So you might actually be able to use an alpha over like the majority of a T-Rex's body. There should be let me see. There should be a paper, I think, on Tyrannosaurus skin, because we have impressions of Tyrannosaur skin. This, if you've seen this image, this is pretty helpful if you're working on a Tyrannosaur. But you can see, like, I mean, look how tiny those scales are, and then look what area of the body they correspond to. And you can imagine, like, this whole area on the torso would be just these types of scales. They're very, very tiny. Like you can see the scale, the measurements here. So you could make an alpha for probably like each of these scale types, and then just correspond them to what the areas on the body that they're supposed to be. And kind of you'd probably have to do some hand sculpting to transition between the types, but you can probably do this with alphas or even like tilables. That would be my advice, or that's kind of, if I were doing a T-Rex, that's how I would do it. Big theropods, big sauropods, ceratopsians, hadrosaurs. I would say they're not as hard to do as like a crocodile or like an ankylosaur. It's stuff with big scoots and really defined scale patterns. Okay, so the top of the hand's starting to look much better. Get these bigger scales out here. Ivy Mitra, the details you're putting in kind of insane. Really, thank you for the effort. Thanks. Yeah, I really enjoy doing this type of work. So it's not like you know, I want to push myself with every new thing that I do. So getting this guy to look appropriate, you know, and it's also about making it look like believable, and I want it to feel as real as possible. So in order to do that, you have to put in the time. So that's what we'll do. I mean, like there will be. I really, I kind of get worried that you guys are gonna get like bored of seeing me just do scales after scales, but there's going to be even more detail added to this. It's like these scales I would consider like kind of blocked in, but they're not. Like for example, the scale here, right? Like it's blocked in, the form's there, but what it really needs is like the real detail pass in here to get the little like bumps and stuff on every little surface, and the definition between the cracks. So it can go further. You know. This kind of stuff. So we will see where it ends up, but that is ideally what I would like to do with this. So I'm going to do a bit of work on the palm here. I'm going to try and see if I can... You might extend the stream just a little bit because I kind of want to be done with this. Or be like, not completely done, but I want every surface on this hand to have some sort of scale detail on it. So very quickly, I'm going to... You guys remember I made an alpha for the scales on the feet a long time ago, a few streams ago. I'm going to try and use that now. Problem is, I need to remember where I saved that alpha. So I hope I saved it in a good spot. This is not the alpha that I'm talking about. This is just like a preliminary pass over the surface to get a little bit of noise in there. Because I don't want to just apply the scales to like a completely smooth surface, because if I do that, it's going to look very... it'll just look too clean. And I don't want that. I want a little bit of surface variation. Need to turn on back face masking. So we'll do that, and then let's see if I can find it. We will see. Echoes. Peru. Scale. Let's try this one. Nope. These are the individual scales. I need this. Okay. Jake, I've only seen like 20% of those scale imprints. Thank you again. I'm probably going to smooth her out and redo the scales now. Oh, no worries. Yeah, if you need any advice or whatever going about scales, I'm happy to help. Scales are a big... It can be super tedious. It can be really fun. Just depends on how you go about them. So these scales are pretty tiny. I might need more resolution in here to grab them. Or I might just need to increase the intensity of the alpha. Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. And I need to make sure that the scale of these feels appropriate, because if they're too tiny, they're not gonna look right. And then I'm also gonna do like on the foot pads. This is a cool detail to add to, Jake, if you want to try to add it too. So if you notice on the foot pads where the foot is constantly in contact with the ground, see how the scales are kind of worn down, and they're not as like defined as the other ones. That's something that I want to add to the foot pad, so it feels like it's been used a lot over time. It's a cool detail to add to like the underside of the feet in dinosaurs as well, because it gives it like a nice sense of age. And like I think imperfections are important. I think a lot of times when people do dinosaurs, they're like very concerned about making it like accurate and like like the perfect specimen of that dinosaur, whatever it is. But we got to remember that dinosaurs were real animals. Real animals aren't perfect. They have lives. They get into fights. They scrape themselves on branches. They get cuts. They get, they have wear and tear on their body. So incorporating some of that into your sculpt is going to make it feel much more natural. So I'm kind of letting this overlap a lot because I know I'm going to transition into this area. See where it got kind of messy? This is going to be a transition area that I'll have to hand sculpt. Same with this area. So I either leave those areas blurry, or I kind of purposely overlap stuff. So that way I have like I would consider it like kind of priming the surface, quote unquote. Just getting some sort of detail in there. Whether I end up using it or not is like, I'm not super worried about it, but at least there's something there, and it's not just totally smooth skin. I get these webs. This web skin is like, it's majority like wrinkly. It's not super scaly, I wouldn't say. So there's more cleanup to do here. So this. Let's see. The average comment. The way my mouth dropped when you said you'd be adding more detail every single scale. Yeah, it can be kind of overwhelming. It's also like one of the things is we got to consider what we actually have time for, and like is it worth it to put all of that detail in there? Like, will it show up in the texture? Will we have use for it later? I'm of the mind that like it's helpful to put it in, because in case you need more detail later, because you never know, like maybe 5-10 years down the line, maybe they're like, we're gonna make Echoes of Extinction remastered or something, I don't know. And then at that time, who knows what kind of resolution we can have in video games, and like coming back and seeing the mesh and having extra detail in there, maybe you could actually capture that detail now and then add it in, and it would save some time, Or maybe like maybe they wanted to do like a cinematic, and they wanted the Purussaurus to be part of the cinematic, and they have more, the cinematic characters are higher detail than in-game characters. So maybe they need the extra detail for that. Then that's pretty much taken care of. You don't need to like. And it depends on. I'm kind of thinking of it as like a little bit selfishly, right? Because like I'm thinking, projecting out into the future, and I'm thinking, well, if they need extra stuff for the Puru, I'd much rather not have to like revisit it. I kind of just want to, if I can, I'd want to like get all the detail in there, and then if they need extra detail, it's already there, I don't have to go back and detail a model that I've already worked on. Because it's kind of hard to do that sometimes. It's hard to get yourself back into that space of working on something you've already like moved on from. If it has to be done, then it has to be done, of course, but let's see. Avi, okay, so the dinos you're making are going to play them. Oh, are you going to play them with us or other devs? I'm not talking about testing, just normal play. I would like to play the game. I haven't gotten a chance to play yet. It would be cool to play with people and like experience the game and just have fun with it. And I haven't really done that yet. Yeah, that would be cool. The Blue Spy. I know this won't be for a while, but for the 2 pterosaurs planned, do you know if they will turn out feathery or scaly? I don't know. That would be a discussion that would probably need to have. If it were up to me, alone, which it's not, but if they were, I would make them fuzzy, I'd want the feathers, the pycnofibers to be in there. But I don't know exactly what the plans are for those guys. So we will see when we get to those, I think. Power Pixel, I hope they will animate this model good to do it justice, because dang, this is high quality. Thank you. I think they will. I've seen the animations for the dinosaurs so far, and they're very high quality, I think. They look really good. They feel really natural. Nice weight to them. I think they'll do it justice just fine. Jake, I'm going to definitely remember that. It's like doing a portrait of someone. I kind of don't forget the imperfections. I'm going to give her snoot scars now. Yeah. That's what's crazy about Sue is she's super, super beat up. Like she has a lot of evidence of fighting on her skull. I think she would have probably, in life, she would have probably looked pretty gnarly. Which is really cool. T-Rexes especially, yeah, because of I actually don't know of a T-Rex skull that doesn't have any sort of like pathology or like damage to it. I think they all have some evidence of some sort of like face biting or like some damage somewhere. But I could be wrong about that. But yeah, Sue has a lot of that. It's a good opportunity to add, a lot of character. It's one of the things that can separate your model from a lot of other people's is just the way you add those types of details to it. Because one of the things about paleo art is like we're kind of all working from some of the same material. Especially with like lesser, like T-Rex, there's a lot of specimens of T-Rex. So you can kind of mix and match certain things. You can kind of stretch stuff. There's a lot of characterization between the skulls of T-Rex and stuff too. But like for other dinosaurs that are less known, or they have a lot less material for them, you're working from the same material that a lot of other artists are working from. So it's very easy to like come up with the same or like similar looking solutions for things. So whenever you have a chance to like include some nice variations, it's probably a good opportunity to do that. Good idea to do that. So, okay, I think I am in a fairly good spot there. There's still more to do, but that is a good chunk of the arm done. We can get those refinements in there as we go and wrap things up. But I'll give you guys a quick look at the entire Puru as he's looking right now, and then I'll wrap up any of the comments and final questions that we have. Avi, I love how you're working and answering everyone's questions without missing anyone. I try. Sorry if I did miss anyone's questions here. Whatever. Rex did spar with one another from what I heard. Yeah, it seems like it. I think they would have. They seem to be very territorial. There's a lot of the puncture wounds on Sue's skull seem pretty violent. And the crazy thing is that not only are they like really bad wounds, but there's evidence that she lived through them. Like they healed, which is crazy. They beat each other up and they still survived, which is amazing to think about. Yeah, that's where he is right now. Keep in mind these will be flipped over. For those of you who are new, these limbs will be mirrored over to the other side. It's just I don't like working because I have to work on the inside of the limb, and if I had both sides on, then this one would get in the way. So that's why it's not there. But they'll be mirrored over. Sorry, he looks like he got in a big accident right now. Yeah, that is where he is. Thank you guys once again for hanging out with me today. Sorry about the trouble I had in the beginning. I don't know why my tablet started freaking out. And Iceman, I want to see a battle of Spinosaurus and T-Rex in the game. So bad, just imagine you've grown your Spino for hours and then a T-Rex shows up on the other side of the forest and you have to make a decision. Yeah, that's the rough thing about these survival games, right? You know, you put so much time and effort into growing up your guy, your dino, and then you get wiped out. It's kind of like, it's the hard thing about these games, right? Because it's super rewarding and stuff, and because it's such high stakes, but at the same time, like once you've grown a few dinosaurs, I don't know, personally I get kind of like, oh man, I gotta do this again. If there was some sort of like I don't know, I don't want to make it like easy. That's the tough part too, because like you want to keep it realistic and you want to keep it like challenging. I don't know what the solution would be. But yeah, that would be a definitely a tense situation. Jake, that is absolutely gorgeous. I'll be back for sure. Thank you for the help. Yeah, no problem, Jake. Yeah, we'll be back next Saturday. Yeah, I'd love to see you back there. If you have any questions, I'll try to help out. Even if you wanted to, like, I'm sure there's like a section for like art in the Discord. If you wanted to like share what you're working on and like ask for tips and stuff, you can you can tag me and I'll take a look if you want. Andrea, no need to apologize. Technology can be unpredictable. Yeah. Okay, thanks guys. I'm gonna head out. Have a good weekend. I'll see you next weekend, okay? Bye-bye.